Dame, first question is coming from Jason Quick with The Athletic.
Dame, can you just kind of describe what you guys did today and what it felt like to finally get started?
We just did a lot of activity. Basically, it was real active from the jump. We had a real active warm up. Went over our plays, just like in a simple form, like the stuff that people could pick up quick, so we could go over it in live action. And then we went up and down. We did some half court, 5-on-5. Then we did full court, 5-on-5, pretty much for the rest of the practice. Just covering like our new defensive coverages and going over some of our sets. Probably the stuff that we're gonna run in the preseason, just keeping our offensive playbook small.
Was there anything different defensively, that we would be able to kind of tell by looking at your guys' first action?
I think it would have been pretty obvious. Our just the way it looked. How we're covering things. I feel like it's more of a presence. We're not giving up as much or allowing people to have as much space. From the jump. And I feel like DJ and Rocco, both of them, you can tell that they're high IQ defensive players. They picked up on things pretty quick. And it felt, a little more difficult with them out there in practice. Usually, I'm able to have my way and kind of like navigate the things I want and make the plays that I want. And it was a little bit more difficult. Like I felt their length out there, but more so than just the length and athleticism, I could tell that they were processing things in their head that, it's not about whether we teach it to them or the coaches teach it to them or not. It's just defensive instincts that good offensive players notice in good defensive players.
Next question is coming from Dwight James with NBC Sports Northwest.
Dame, just from what you talked about, staying with the defense a minute, is it obvious to you guys that the emphasis is changing more from offense to defense? And obviously, offensively, you guys have been together a long time, may not need to work on stuff as much, but is the emphasis in practice more on defense than it has been?
Yeah, today it was. It was pretty much all defensively focused until, maybe the last 20 minutes we just did, up and down things. We was focused more on executing our offense and knowing what we wanted to do on offense. But pretty much up to that point, it was all defense. And, I think that makes perfect sense. We haven't had trouble on the offensive end. We've been one of the better offensive teams in the league over the years. We never had trouble putting points on the board. But defensively is where we've struggled and had, the inconsistency more than anything else. So I think it makes sense that would be our primary focus.
Next question is coming from Aaron Fentress with the Oregonian.
Hey, Damian, how disruptive were the past couple of days not being able to get started with camp as soon as you would like to and with people testing positive?
I mean, it was disruptive. It's I think it helps that we dealt with the uncertainty. Like before the bubble, we didn't know when we was going to start. We didn't know what it was going to look like when we got here. Can we be on the court? Can we go in the locker room? Can we get in the showers? Can we, we didn't really know anything. So I think this time, it was like, all right, we wake up. I literally woke up and was walking to my car and, thinking we was practicing. And then when I got here, it was like, all right, we're not practicing today. That was that. But so it kind of tripped me out then when I was like, man, it could be like this for the whole season, where it's just, all these bumps in the road, things getting shut down. But I wouldn't say it disrupted me that much. I was just like, all right, I worked out at home to make sure that, my conditioning didn't fall off before we got on the court. And I know how tough it is sometimes that first day when you're doing so much up and down and, you're not really used to bumping against bodies and defense to offense as much after the offseason. So I just, those 2 days I worked out at home. I came in the second day, worked out here, and, I felt good today.
Thanks.
Next question is coming from Casey Holdall, Trailblazers.com.
Damian, by that same token, were you at all concerned about your own health, hearing that another player had tested positive? And do you feel like at all that having a player test positive kind of just reminds you guys like, hey, we really need to kind of be on top of things this season because, as you mentioned, it's going to be difficult?
Yeah, it was definitely an eye opener because I feel like I I take all the proper steps to make sure that I'm being considerate of my family, and I'm being considerate of my teammates and coaches and everybody that I got to work with every day. So I feel like everybody around here does that. And, you know, leading up to the bubble, you know, we didn't have that issue. You know, we didn't have positive tests coming out of our facility and things like that. So I guess I never really thought about it that deeply because it had never happened, you know, close to us like that. So once they told us, like, we had a few positive tests, I was like, man, like, I started thinking about who was in the weight room when I walked through the weight room yesterday, and, you know, who hand did I shake? Who did I fist bump? You know, I started to just run back the whole, you know, prior 2-3 days, like trying to figure it out, like, what's the possibility? Then I went home, you know, I was supposed to go pick up my son from my mom's house, and I didn't even want to go in the house. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm telling my fiance, like, well, I think, you know, you should just go get him. And I'm staying upstairs. Like, I was nervous a little bit, like, I really don't know. So I think just the fact that something like that could happen and you could possibly not know, and, you know, you can pass it along to your family and things like that was definitely an eye opener. And it lets you know, like, it's going to be a tough season to get through, you know, counting on so many guys to be able to hold up their end of the bargain. And it's kind of concerning, you know, honestly.
Next question is coming from Sean Hyken with Bleacher Report.
Dame, with today being your first practice and then you have a preseason game in 3 days, are you guys like ready to play a preseason game? Like, how much are you expecting to do? Are you going to try to play kind of your normal minutes load? Or are you going to guys all kind of try to ease back into it given kind of the short ramp up time?
I mean, I don't call the shots, but I'm pretty sure we're going to ease into it. Like, I'm pretty sure Terry is not going to throw us out there for 30 minutes, you know, especially with our first few days of practice being canceled, and then us, you know, to start being so, I guess, abrupt, you know, it's just right in front of us. I don't see us playing those regular minutes like that. I see us, you know, kind of easing into it, playing a good stretch in the first quarter, a good stretch in the second quarter, and then just, you know, go from there. But Friday, I wouldn't expect to be out there, you know, too much.
Coming back to Jason Quick with The Athletic.
Caliber of play like today?
Huh?
What was the caliber of play like today?
It was much higher than I thought it was going to be. You know, at the start of it, it was like, you know, a couple guys lost the ball, you know, just dribbling, attacking the rim, and the ball just fly out of bounds. We had like 3 of those in a matter of, you know, minutes. And then it started to get competitive. You know, we started to make shots. And the one thing that stood out to me was everybody was in pretty good condition. You know, usually guys come back. And when we start moving around, guys don't move that well to begin with, get tired, need a sub. And, you know, once we started going, and guys made shots. Guys were, you know, playing above the rim, attacking the rim, finishing, making shots, like moving at a fast pace. So, I mean, I was actually impressed where it was like, you know, I feel good about how we moving for the fact that this is our first practice and we're delayed. You know, I thought it was pretty good.
Hey, there was, I want to ask you something kind of seriously. You know, the team put out that social media post of you shooting from half court, the ease in which you were doing it. How feasible is that you will do that in a game?
Very. It's very possible. Yeah.
From half court.
Yeah.
What kind of dialogue have you had with Terry Stotts about that?
I told him I'm gonna do it, and he said, Terry sees me in here every day, you know, and I work on my game. You know, I address the things that I feel like I could do better. But the things that I do well, I just keep getting better at it. You know, I spend time doing it, and I try to, you know, expand on that and add things. And obviously, I'm not just going to be out here every game firing a shot from half court, or maybe not even every 20 games. It might be once or twice in the whole season that I just feel like, you know, F it. But, you know, I do it just to, you know, for the challenge and for the fun kind of as well, you know. Like the game in the bubble against Brooklyn, it was like we was down 7. I think under 7 minutes, I couldn't get a shot off. Like, they was double teaming me at half court. I literally couldn't get a shot off, and we went from being hot to being cold. And I was like, I'm not going to say that it was like the best shot, but that was the shot that I could get off, and it happened to be a shot that I spent time shooting. So, I mean, I made it, and I was comfortable shooting it. So, I mean, it's more for something like that, you know what I'm saying? But if I get into a game and I hit 3 or 4 threes in a row, that's when you should have your eyes open, because it might be going up at half court at that point.
Next question is coming from AJ McCord with Coin.
Okay, well, I had a different question, but we'll just talk about that one a little bit more. So it's going to be like a sort of like a vibe in the game, not so much you're going to go into the game with the intention of shooting a half court.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm 0 for 3 from 3, I'm not just going to fire from half court. But if I come out to start the game and I hit like the first 3 threes or whatever, I might just stop at half court and just raise up. And it's not going to be crazy, because I've done it a few times. I was just like barely inside half court.
Yeah, no, I remember it. It seems like that's something, I guess, how have you chosen to develop that part of your game over the last few years? Because before it was like, oh, he starts hitting from the line, and now all of a sudden we're shooting from 37. I know it's not actually all of a sudden, but like, how have you decided to develop that element of your game?
It started with, how teams started to defend me, where I was getting a lot of attention, where, I was getting trapped and blitzed and stuff like that, which still can be an issue sometimes, especially in the playoffs when teams just sell out, but it started when I started to be defended like that, maybe my 4th or 5th year, where it was like I had to start playing from further out to give myself more space. So I really just wanted to become more of a serious threat from further out, where, if they don't address me like 35, 37 feet, that I can shoot that shot and it wouldn't be, a shot that our team would be mad at. I think when I shoot it, coaches, when I was younger and I shoot from deep, coach would be like, dang, why are you taking these shots? And our coaches would be like, Terry is he not just going to accept it right away? It was more that type of conversation. But I think once Terry started to see me in the summer more often, when I was, coming into the facility, and he see how often I train at it, and that I'm there every day, every morning. And I work on my finishing, I work on my step backs, I work on my pull-up jumpers, my fadeaways, my threes, making 10 in a row. And then at the end, I move out and I do it, because it's probably the least important shot, I guess you would consider, because I'm going to be in those other spaces a lot more than I'm just going to be shooting every shot from out there. But I always made sure I worked on it, and I think it's grown on him. I think he accepts it. But I really worked on it a lot just to create, more space for myself, so teams have to cover me from further out on the floor. And then, once I come downhill, I got more space, and then, the help has to come further, and it's easier for me to see plays, easier for me to get to spots on the floor.
That makes sense. So I'll ask you my original question. Thanks for indulging that one. With the preseason being what it is, I know you said you're not the one making the shots, but what do you want to see accomplished in these 4 preseason games? What will make you feel like solid coming out of that preseason season, heading into the regular one?
I want to see, once we get on the floor, I want to see us be able to put our principles, that we've added onto the floor. And I want to see it look good. Usually you're like, okay, it's the preseason, it's going to be some rust, but I want our rust to be, missing shots maybe, and, just not coming out hot offensively. But I want to see the things that we can control, being in the right spots, our communication, our understanding of what we're trying to do. I want to see it look like, this is what we do. And everything else, we know we're going to make shots, we're going to score points. We know what we do. We've done it for a long enough period of time. But I think defensively is where, we haven't always looked like that team. And I think starting in the preseason, we should, that should be our focus, not on whether we win or lose, or, how many shots we make or anything like that. Is like the things that we're focusing on in these few days of practice before that game. Let's put it on the floor and let's be disciplined and let's be solid at that. and, you know, have the right habits from the jump, not say, you know, all right, it's just preseason, we're going to be better. Like, let's have our shit together from the jump.
All right. Thanks, Dame. We got CJ waiting in the wings, so we'll wrap it there.
Now or never.
Let's do it.